I keep saying in public that rugby taught me more than my parents. Starting with English August and Mr. and Mrs. Iyer, and everybody says I'm fine, right up till the point where the Japanese wife, Shaurya, all of that happened. So for me to lose my name was a relief. The crowd going, stadium lights going off dramatically, dush, dush, dush. And I just felt gratitude. Every lesson I draw from sport, it becomes a lesson for me for life. You want pressure? I've seen pressure, don't worry, this is nothing. Career advice, who goes to your mother?
What do you mean my son comes to me?
You get my point. You get my point. The under 18 girls training for the Asians, their chins slightly down, half of them couldn't even stand straight. And it's not them, it's society. I said, here you come first. So that when you go back home, I want your parents to say कि रोहिणी की आंखें जो है ना, उसमें बदलाव आ गया.
If one day you decide to get married, I will take some credit for it.
I think that ship has sailed, Amrita.
Really?
Raichand. Bombay's greatest monument was built in 1903. The Gateway of India followed in 1911.
See, you're the perfect ambassador. So, cheers. Let the conversations begin. Today's conversation brings to you an individual whose life reminds me that excellence is not accidental. It is intentional, ever evolving, and deeply human. Rahul Bose is a story of excellence across worlds. A brilliant student, an international rugby player, a South Mumbai kid who did not take the conventional route that most of the kids from his school or his neighborhood would take, careers in finance, banking, or running their family businesses. Instead, he chose the unconventional path of sport and cinema. From representing India on the rugby field to carving a distinctive niche for himself in Indian cinema, Rahul's journey reflects discipline, courage, and deep self-belief. Today, as president of India Rugby Federation, he also carries a rare perspective on what it takes to build athletes, leaders, and resilient minds. Of course, we are also going to find out how it feels to have a stadium named after him at such a young age. Please welcome our very own Sean Penn of Indian cinema, as Maxim called him, Rahul Bose. Right, welcome Rahul. Finally you are here.
Yes, I know.
And believe it or not, I'll call you my prince today because we are actually sitting in a prince's room. And it has so much history. All the kings and queens of princely states who used to have numerous meetings here, obviously orchestrated and organized by the early India leaders, they had to be convinced to give up their seats of power before they embraced democracy. So this is actually a very special place. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you give up anything.
I have, take it all. I have no princely estate. I have nothing.
No, but in fact, I'm going to use your extraordinary stories and try and uplift the lives of others. You know, these stories that sit at the intersection of sports, cinema, and leadership, because I think people are going to feel inspired. So this will obviously happen over a very thoughtfully curated Lebanese meal.
And I'm hungry. I'm definitely hungry.
So cheers.
Cheers.
Let the conversations begin. True luxury isn't just what you see, it's what you feel. It lives in stories, aromas, and conversations that stay with us. I'm Amrita Raichand, and for me, food is more than just flavor. It's also love, nostalgia, and connection. In our chase for goals and success, we've forgotten to pause, to feel, to share. Tabletop, the taste of Taj, is my way of bringing that pause back. By inviting friends, not for interviews or agendas, but for moments of honesty, laughter, and of course, great food. Together we will share meals specially curated by me along with the master chefs of the Taj, dishes that celebrate not just ingredients, but also the stories behind them. And what better setting than the Taj, a name that embodies beauty, heritage, and the warmest hospitality. Every table here has seen new beginnings, reunions, and memories, and now ours will become a part of that legacy. Welcome to Table Talk, the taste of Taj, where food meets feeling, luxury meets legacy, and the heart always finds a seat at the table.
I should tell you actually, when I was in advertising, I was the creative director of Rediffusion, and we had the Taj account. And I visited 64 properties of the Taj across India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal.
Really?
And spent 2 to 3 nights in each property. What a tough job, right?
Yeah, right.
So I know the history of this room.
Oh.
I know the history. I remember Camellia Punjabi
Yeah.
taking us around and literally taking us around every corridor, every nook and cranny, talking to us how, at the time, Ajit Kerkar's wife, Elizabeth Kerkar, was doing all the interiors, about how those emerged, the Hussains and the paintings all over, as well as the incredible history of this property, specifically as the flagship property, and the rumor that it was built back to front, which is not true, and all of that. And I think that those 3 or 4 months I spent understanding the group, understanding the ethos, and how much of care goes into everything that they do. I remember her talking to me about using a stick and marking out the boundary of the swimming pool at the Fort Aguada, at the Taj Holiday Village before it even started. It was just a bare piece of land. So those, I think not 3 months, it was 6 months of travel was so instructive. And so I can say there are very few moments as creative director when I had experience of a brand that was so
deeply involved.
Yeah, with India, with people, the ethos within the group. I don't know if that's changed now or not. So it was really, really, I can't say life-changing, but professionally it opened my eyes to what people are doing and how. And so the campaign that we evolved after that came out of the more about the culture and ethos of the Taj than about we have this room and we have that room.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the
remember
beauty about that.
Our first headline was Bombay's greatest monument was built in 1903. The Gateway of India followed in 1911. So there's a photograph of the Gateway and the Taj and says Bombay's greatest monument was built in 1903. And you think you're talking about the Gateway.
The Gateway of India, yeah.
The Gateway of India was built in 1911.
Brilliant.
That was the opening ad.
See, you're the perfect ambassador, that you're so
I
closely
used to be the ambassador
attached.
for the Gateway Hotels of the Taj,
of the
yes.
Taj. Oh,
that was
nice.
about 10, 15 years ago, I remember. They were branding it as a young, upwardly mobile, cool kind of place to be in. Something like the new boutique hotels you have in Soho and stuff in New York. But yeah, my roots go very deep. For me, it's always the first choice place to stay anywhere I am in the world. Is there a Taj there? Yeah. If I'm in Cairo, or if I'm in New York, or if I'm in Kolkata, anywhere, it's like this, you know, which is there a Taj there? So
lovely. It's like you have a safe spot.
Yeah.
You know, you feel comfortable there.
Absolutely.
So great. I'm glad that you enlightened me about your connection. And once again, I will thank you for being a part of... Rahul, you are an outstanding personality. And yet, I can easily say one of the most humble people I know. You started your career with English August. A truly iconic film. Iconic because of the quiet storytelling, the honesty. And then, of course, followed these other memorable films, Jhankaar Beats, Chameli and Bulbul and Dil Dhadakne Do, and so many more. Each so different, yet leaving a lasting impact. Now, simultaneously, there's another side of your personality, your love of sport, moving parallelly along with mostly parallel cinema that you were doing.
Yeah.
But frankly, what has stayed with me till today is the first time I saw you. That was at Bombay Gymkhana. It was peak summer afternoon. You had your cap on, you had your glasses on, you had loads of sunscreen, and you were working out like a madman, if I may call you that. And I just looked at him and I said, I told my Rahul, my husband Rahul, that's Rahul Bose. He said, yeah, that's Rahul Bose. Of course, he's my friend. And then you came, you saw Rahul, and you said, oh, you lucky guy, this is your wife. And then, I don't know if you remember, but for 2 minutes, you said so many things about me that made me feel like a star. And it stayed with me since then, because it really takes a very secure, very confident star to make somebody else feel so special. Now, Rahul, across sport, across cinema, across leadership, what pushes you? What drives you to actually keep going with the gusto that you do and yet stay so calm, so humble?
There's a really simple answer to this. So, as opposed to jhadoing philosophy, I'll just tell you very, very simply. As a child, I loved to play and I loved to act. I remember getting onto stage at the age of 6. There was a play, Cathedral, Tom the Piper's Son. And when I got onto stage, Amrita, three things struck me. Number one, this is easy, unlike mathematics. This is fun, unlike eating palak. And people who are watching me are also enjoying it, which is really important because my mother loved singing, but she couldn't hold a tune. And people just, I said, Mum, please stop, that's what we would do. But here I could see the mathematics teacher who had thrown me out of class crying at what I was doing, very moved. She bought me a chocobar, now it's called a Magnum, at the end of the play. So I was like, okay, I love this. It's easy. One of the easiest things I've done. And people like this. How cool would this be to make this my life? Of course, I was 6 years old, 7 years old. And I love to play, which, well, I don't want, most kids just like to go out there and play. And you'd have to drag me home after sunset. And that's my life today. I played for India. I played rugby for India for 11 years. I played rugby for 40 years. In school, I represented school in 11 sports. It's just been, as in Bengali, they say kheladulo. And my mother was half Punjabi, half Maratha. And she used to be very happy, the fact that I used to be out there and playing and acting. So very simply, nothing drives me. I don't want to get anywhere. I don't want to be relevant. I don't want to be talked about. I don't want to be remembered in history. I don't want any of this.
Really?
I just want to consistently every day be that boy who wanted to have the sun on his back and played, and be that boy who wanted to have the lights on his face and act. And that's all I seek to do. In the midst of all of this, whether I started my NGOs and whatever the awards are, all of that is with evolution and growth, specifically the NGOs. But essentially, I'm still the same guy. I'm 58 years old, and for 52 years, I've just been the same guy. I've just been doing what I love.
You're 58?
Yeah.
I read it wrong. Online it says 54 somewhere, or 52 somewhere. And I was like, okay, oh my God. Bon appetit. That's the beauty of having this conversation over a table like this, right?
Perfect.
In between our conversations, you'll keep getting a little taste of the amazing food
And this
that
looks
we've
so
curated
fresh,
for
it's
you.
ridiculous.
It is fresh.
And I'm hungry. So, Amrita, you were saying, you said that, I said 3 or 4 things about you and it was so nice and all of that. As a child, I used to call friends over. And they used to come over. And my mother used to walk in an hour later, walk up to me and pat! I was like, why did you slap me? She would say, I can only hear your voice. You are the host. Your voice is not to be heard. You have to learn to listen. And, I mean, in those days of now, of course, people will take it very, but I was a boy who needed to be slapped. So a couple of whacks were very good for me. And from there onwards, I realized that my folks were more interested in authenticity. They just respect people and let them be who they are. And don't invisibilize people. So for me to behave that way with you, it's like breathing.
That was going to be my next question, asking you if the way you've been brought up has actually influenced who you are today. You were a brilliant student, right?
I was
a
decent.
fairly decent student.
Yeah,
and a
good.
fairly decent student, especially from South Mumbai, also doesn't know how to speak Hindi well. Also usually goes for, family businesses. And you took the uncertain, the unpredictable, the fairly risky, career of cinema. You said at 6 you were performing. Now, usually people don't know, if they can really act. And you said acting is easy. To me, acting is not easy. I also was acting for a small period of my life, and I actually joined Anupam Kher's academy.
Oh, did you?
Actor prepares. Yeah, because I'm, also
I've
the
done
type
3
of...
films with him.
Oh, really? So I said, if I'm going to take up acting, I need to learn. So he said one line very frequently. Either you feel it right or you act it right. Now, un dino mein I couldn't feel jack because I'd hardly gone through any emotions. I was much younger. I couldn't bloody act, which is why my acting career was very short-lived. That's why I was very happy when I got to play Amrita Raichand, the mother of Agastya Raichand, and cook food, because that was me. And you today say that acting was actually easy for you.
No, it's not as easy.
At that point. No, it isn't, right?
I was not as brave as that. If you were really bright in the 80s, you did science.
Yeah.
If you were a girl, you did arts. No boys did arts. Of course, I don't hold that, but that's the way it was. And so if you're not bright and you're not a girl and you're a boy, you do commerce. It's the default. So all of us enter the cesspool of commerce.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing commerce, what are the professions open to you? Banking, consultancy, after doing an MBA kind of thing. I knew nothing about all that stuff. I still don't. My sister has all the money in the house. I have no money. I don't hold anything.
She handles your money.
No, she handles the. I don't have any money.
You don't kamao or what?
Everything I earn, I spend. I've had my NGOs for 20 years, so that's
We're
my
gonna
thing.
talk about that.
So she looks after whatever she has to look after for the family. So I was on my way to doing an MBA. Cathedral khatam karo, undergraduate karke, फिर MBA करके फिर देखेंगे. I finished my BCom. I got admission to one of the top MBA schools in the world. At the time, rated the number 3 school, business school in America.
Which one?
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
It'll sound like I'm showing off. My MBA said, you're too young to come for an MBA. You're only 20 years old. Work for 2 years and then we will admit you or reopen your admission or whatever it is. It's fine. So I was doing an internship in marketing at Mahindra's. One day I was sitting there. They had a new Jeep that had come out, a tiny Jeep called the CJ340. And I took out my diary and I said, if I didn't have money to worry about, because my father was very clear, after graduation, I'm not paying a rupee for you. You do what you want. MBA करना है, काम करना है, बाहर जाना है, beer पीनी है, आप जो भी करना है, आप अपने बल पे करो. तो मैंने लिखा, I'm left-handed, so I said, acting. And I put a cross next to it because I was a theatre actor. I had just entered the Bombay professional stage and I was earning $500 a show. And we did 2 shows a week. So you can't live on $4,000 a month. I put a cross. I said, writer. It takes 10 years to write a novel. Who's going to fund you for those 10 years? So then I said, what about copywriting in advertising? You have to have ideas and a facility with words. So I wrote a campaign for that Jeep that day.
Really?
And I sent it to 3 of the top agencies in the country. And at the time it was Enterprise, Trikaya and Rediffusion, all based in Bombay. I sent my copy test and the campaign. 2 out of 3 of them gave me a job. And I took the job with Rediff. So I was with Rediffusion in advertising, telling my father, I'm not doing an MBA, I'm not being a consultant, I'm not going to go into banking, I'm going to go into advertising. And surprise, surprise, he was actually happy. Because he said, you know, you're not the banking finance guy. So this is a good idea. But advertising में लोग बहुत पीते हैं, शायद drugs भी लेते हैं, वो shorts में जाते हैं, कहीं पे कुछ ponytail लगा के, please don't become that person. I said, don't worry, relax.
And this was at what age exactly?
I was exactly 22. 22 to 25 and a half, I was in advertising, very happy, doing my plays. So I was on the Bombay stage. I don't know whether you ever saw me in Topsy Turvy, Are There Tigers in the Congo, Art. I did 7-8 plays at Prithvi, at NCPA, worked with Sanjana, worked with Rahul Dekuna, worked with Nasir, all of that. So from 1988 when I came out of school, so now we are at 1991-ish. So I'm 22 and a half and 22 and I've joined advertising. And for the next 3.5 till 25 and a half, I'm very happy.
And how much are you earning? Sorry.
I'll tell you.
Huh.
At 25, I get offered, based on my theatre work, India's first English language film, English August. So I take 2 months off from work, I go, I do the film, and I come back. The film takes a year to be post-produced, etc., etc. I'm 25 and a half, 26, and I've become the creative director of Rediffusion.
And sorry, you got this film without any audition?
Of course I auditioned.
You auditioned.
I'm just
so
cutting to the chase.
Okay, okay. Yeah, wo sab hua. Huh.
So I'm the second youngest creative director in the world. And for the first time in my life since I was 6, I enter the office at 10 and I leave the office at 12 midnight. I just work 14 hours every single day, partly to prove myself to my colleagues who are older than me. Some have been in advertising longer than me. Most of them are better than me, but I'm in the hot seat. So to prove myself for that 1 year, Amrita, I work my ass off and I don't act. For 1 year of my life, I don't act. So I'm really unhappy, but I'm really happy at what's happening with my career. At this point in time, I'm earning 50,000 rupees a month.
Not bad at all at that in those days.
1995.
Excellent.
30 years ago. And English August releases. I finished a year as creative director. English August releases and becomes this cult, this hit. Just next door in Regal, which I think used to have a seating of 983 people, there used to be 600 people sitting in there. The occupancy was 60 to 62%.
My God.
So 600 people sitting there watching this film, and the film runs for 3 weeks. Maybe it did 50 days, I'm not sure. It's ridiculous how well that film did. And that's when I thought to myself, should I just skip from one to the other? And I went to Arunandan, Ajit Balakrishna, and said, I'd like to leave because nobody will take me seriously as an actor
if I'm not doing it full
if I
time.
don't create a vacuum and say, I'm an actor. Oh, he's the advertising guy who acts. No, he's an actor. This is the seriousness of my intent which I'm signaling to the world. My dad was not happy. This time he was really worried.
And your mum?
Mum had passed away. Mum passed away when I was 20.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry
weird.
to hear that.
So my dad was really worried. He said, where's the financial stability? Where are you going to get your next paycheck from? I said, I don't know. I can tell you one thing. I have 2 months of salary from Rediffusion saved. I'll get into this for 2 months. Let's see. Maybe 3 months. आपको तो पैसे नहीं देने. I'll do this. उसके बाद अगर नहीं होता तो मैं Ajit and Arun said we'll take you back. Don't worry. You want to do this, do it properly.
Get it out of your system.
And in the second month, I got in India's first and only English soap called A Mouthful of Sky, which contracted me for a year at 50,000 rupees a month.
In acting also they paid monthly, not per day.
No, it was a daily soap. It was a daily soap. So 50 grand a month, I got exactly what I was getting from Rediffusion. So my father was like, okay, you have a year's thing handled. And of course, from there. So it was not courageous. It was not brave. I didn't take the leap. I went in slow increments from becoming MBA wannabe to getting into advertising, to getting into acting. And I always got on to the next bus only when this bus was moving, you know. And the next bus also, there was movement, so I could hop onto it. It wasn't that the bus was stationary. So I'm not that brave. So that's the journey of this South Bombay boy.
My God, I'm actually speechless because I don't think many people know that you actually worked in advertising for so long. And it actually says a lot about your upbringing. आज की जो Gen Z है, they don't realize कि you know वो धीरे धीरे काम करना, staying with the norms, also understanding and respecting the fact that you can't just blow up your parents' money just because you want to kind of, you know, satisfy a bit of your passion without realizing where's the future. And I think you did it very well. You were not actually rash. You actually went step by step, like you said.
I couldn't have to feed myself.
That's very commendable.
You know, in the old days, I've been to over 300 schools across the country, delivering talks, inspiring the kids, hopefully.
No, you have been.
People keep saying, what is your message to the kids? And I used to say, never be afraid to dream. Dream fearlessly. Your parents have worked hard to give you a position where you can afford to dream. We couldn't afford to dream. Or some of us could, some of us couldn't. So dream fearlessly and be compassionate and be kind and be loving. You know, Amrita, all of that's true. But what I forgot to say, which this generation, the kids, do not do enough, is work hard. Work, toil.
Record you separately on my phone and show it to my son.
Toil day after day after day after day, whether it's tennis, whether it's chemistry, whether it's elocution, I don't care. Work hard. Really, really work, because the purity that you reach as you keep refining your craft, keep working hard, the purity of purpose, the purity of mind. Any top-class sports person, see the way they operate, see the way they're conscious about time, about their kit, about their discipline, about their sleep, about understanding that winning and losing is two sides of the same coin. You know, all of those things, the wisdom that you get, hard work, real, solid, regular, hard work, day after day after day. At stuff that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying go and break stones in a prison.
Yeah.
That, the word I keep thinking of is the purifying effect it has on the spirit and the soul is something else.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I have 2 left feet when it comes to any sport. I mean, really, I can't even cycle well to save my life. I'm that bad. But when I got married, I married into a completely sporty family.
Yeah.
My father-in-law is an ex-naval officer.
And Rahul's a gifted, he's a natural.
He is gifted. You've seen that he's played rugby with you also. My father-in-law, the services champion of in athletics, in golf. Then when I got pregnant, my husband, the one thing he pressurized me with, and actually harrowed me with, he said,
Please, let's have an athletic kid.
yeah, he said, whether it's a boy or a girl, he shouldn't just take your genes and become an actor. I don't care if he wants to be an actor, but he or she has to be a sporty
Agastya is
person.
very, very talented.
अरे मेरे prayers का जवाब है ये. I can't tell you 9 months the amount I have prayed, Rahul. मुझे इतना डर लग रहा था कि बंदा मुझे छोड़ देगा. अगर if my child is not sporty, I'm telling you.
I remember seeing Agastya many years ago, and you can just spot a natural athlete. So I'm at the Bombay gym and I was like, he was playing football. I said, this kid's a natural. Whichever sport he picks up, he's going to be just amazing at it.
Yeah.
His body, the way he used to move, his biomechanics, without any thought, he was moving in the right ways. Gifted.
Since you brought up Agastya, let me tell you, like a proud mom, he's actually participated in 2 nationals football.
Not surprised.
He's won the player of the tournament in 2 consecutive years in All India School tournament. But what I'm actually more proud of is the man that he is today. What sports has taught him is unmatchable. What his father has taught him through sports again is unbeatable. Since you played sport from such a young age, what were the life lessons that actually helped you in the rest of your things that you ended up doing eventually?
I mean, I keep saying in public that rugby taught me more than my parents. जो बुनियादी सीख है, the real foundational lessons I learned from sport and specifically from rugby. First of all, I think what sport helped me with, and this is a weird answer, is academics.
Really?
And
मेरे बेटे को क्या हुआ?
I'm evangelical about it now with parents. From the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid. I'm like, if you want your kids to do well in studies, please have them play sport for at least 1.5 hours a day. They're like, what? What sport did for me was it made me have the ability to focus. Second, it gave me the ability to, I used to get so tired, I would sleep deep. But most important, it taught me pressure. So if your kid wants to do well in exams, that's pressure. If your kid is studying for exams and has shorter hours to sleep, sport will put them to sleep. Even if it's 5 hours, they'll have deep sleep. And if your kid wants to learn how to stay focused on something for 3 hours, nothing better than sport. So I honestly, truthfully, it helped my studies enormously. Now, the lessons that rugby taught me, sport in general and rugby. Rugby is all about physical contact. And that is about fear. So the sport taught me what to do with my fear.
What do you mean?
Everybody feels it. Anybody who says, I don't feel fear is lying.
Yeah.
You put anybody on the 10th floor ledge of a window and say, look down. Every single human being on the planet will say, I feel fear.
Of course.
Okay? What do you do with it? How do you master it? What do you learn from it? Do you improve your technique? I'm 5'6". I can be bulldozed by anybody on that field. Use your technique, use your mind, use your speed. What do you have to combat? A physical combat. So that's the first thing that this sport is. It's physically violent. So you have to learn to not just bear up with it, you have to learn to enjoy it, to revel in it.
I'm going to stop here for 1 minute. A lot of people think sports is only about physical strength. But it's actually so much about mental strength, right?
I think there's a difference between mental health and what are the triggers that switch somebody on to get to 100. For some, it could be money. For some, it could be
fame.
For some, it could be revenge. For some, it could be prove to the world. I don't know what it is. It could change from week to week also. But to find that trigger that will take a superb athlete, a gifted athlete, from 85 to 100. So, back to rugby. So the first thing it taught me was this is a physical game. What are you going to do with fear? And for the rest of my life, I mean, you look at any rugby player off the field, nothing scares them. Nothing scares them. Second, if you try and play that game alone, you will either go to hospital or you will die.
Yeah.
In cricket, you can score 300 runs and then go and field at fine leg while everybody is bowling and sing a song. I'm exaggerating, but you get my point. Or you can score 300 runs as an opening batsman, go and put your feet up in the pavilion while the other 9 people are still getting out. In rugby, if you have to move forward, you have to do it with all the other people. What a great lesson for life. Much more than team spirit. If you want to move forward, you cannot move forward alone. You and I cannot move forward in this world alone unless we have people who are
supporting us and
collaborating with us.
Yeah.
So, second lesson learned. And third, in rugby, you never take a step back. Even when you're tackling someone, you go into the tackle.
You don't go backwards. Oh, very interesting.
You go into with the ball when you never take a step back. So you learn to convert every position, offensive and defensive, into a positive. Everything is positive. Nothing is retreat. And finally, this is all sport, it taught me to lose. It taught me to lose because I was the worst loser in the world. I used to finish playing a squash match at the Bombay Gymkhana squash courts, which, as you know, are 300 meters away from the main building. And I would kick the racket for 300 meters till it broke.
Shoot.
And my father wasn't buying me a new racket. Then I would beg, borrow for the next year till I could ask him for a racket the next year.
But listen, most sporty men are bad losers.
No.
My Rahul abuses so much on the field. He's a split personality. You know how gentle and calm he is, but dude, he can't lose.
When I finished playing for India, and I'll get to what playing for India makes you, this is also very interesting. When I finished playing for India, I lost all the urge to win at all costs. Now you put me anywhere, TT, whatever, I'll play, I'll give my best. If I win or lose, it makes no difference to me. Wo ho gaya. Now, what did playing for India mean? So many commentators talk utter nonsense about players in cricket, in hockey, in football, because they've never played for India. Playing for your country is a privilege, but it's an experience that you have to only experience it. Once you cross that white line, something very fundamental happens. You lose your name.
What do you mean?
You're playing on the field, referee calls you and says, number 11, don't do that. You go for dinner and say, Team India, table 3 and 4. You go to train, this is India, field number 1, you only have an hour and 15 minutes. So for that 1 week, you're nameless. And for me, 1998 to 2009 were my rugby years playing for India, were the most congested years as an actor for me. I was so busy, starting with English August and Mr. and Mrs. Iyer, and Everybody Says I'm Fine, right up till the point where The Japanese Wife, Shaurya, all of that happened. That was the period. So for me to lose my name was a relief. I was like, I don't have to, I'm not on show here. It's absolutely fine. I can just become invisible and melt. That was one. 2, although 8 people in India know that there's a rugby team that's gone to Singapore, only 8 people. But in Singapore, whatever you do, people think that's how your country is. So you are actually carrying the impression of 1.4 billion people, although back home, maybe only 10 people know that you went to Singapore to play a tournament. But ye jo zimmedari hai, that they will think of India, how you portray yourself, how you be with them, becomes very important.
A very spiritual journey also,
Oh.
if I may call it. Don't relate with your name. I mean, to lose your name is a big thing. To think of it as such a responsibility.
No question.
It's a spiritual
And
journey
most people
without
don't.
realizing it.
But I always look at that side of things. And finally, when you stand on a foreign piece of land, the anthem starts, and your flag goes up. There are just 20 of you singing the anthem. Maybe there might be some Indians in the crowd. You begin to realize how lucky you are.
I can imagine.
That gratitude, na? And I would start crying.
So great. Right. I feel
And I
like
would start
crying right now just listening to
And
you.
my my colleague was like, Bose, we're going to have to, smash the Kazakhs right now. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm having a moment. वो जो दिल भरने वाली बात है ना कि what have I done in this world to be one of, चलो, 10,000 people, 50,000 people to have represented the country in the last 100 years in any sport.
Amazing.
What have I done to be this lucky, And I never forgot that. I never ever forgot that. And what it taught me was, in life, the first impulse, the first thing that should come out of your heart is gratitude. No need for anything else. First, feel gratitude. When we had the RPL this year, in 25, the first franchise-based league in the world, and we had the best players in the world coming down. Today's best players, today's Federer, today's Messi, today's Schumacher. These guys, the best rugby players on the planet playing here with the best of India. And when it got over after 15 days, it had been the end of, thank you, it had been the end of 7 years of work. 7 years of work. In the last 2 years, I'd spent about 15 hours a day. When I finished that, the victory stand, the candles, the crowd going, stadium lights going off dramatically, dush, dush, dush. Karigars are working on dismantling the victory podium. Everything is in darkness except for working lights. And I went, everybody had left. Everybody had gone for the after party. I walked back onto the field. And I stood in the center of the field in darkness. And I took a 360, abhi bhi hai mere paas. I took a 360 degree of what? What was I taking it off? 360 degree of thing. And I stood there. And I just felt gratitude. Just gratitude, gratitude, gratitude that it happened the way that we wanted it to happen, and we never compromised our principles, our ethics, our integrity. Never. We just held the line and we did it. So this is what sport. I mean, for me, it's every lesson I draw from sport, it becomes a lesson for me for life. So then when somebody says, shoot mein 3 ghante ka delay hai, when somebody says light change karo, or when some actor tries to overshadow me in a scene, sanu ki fark penda hai? I don't care. It doesn't matter. You want pressure? Don't worry. I've understood. I've seen pressure. Don't worry. This is nothing. Then the rest of life becomes makhan.
Really, Rahul, you brought tears to my eyes. That moment that I actually relived with you while you were telling me that, it really gave me goosebumps. And I realized once again what a patriot I am, because, anything to do with my India. And I thank you for sharing that moment with me, because it was truly, truly, it'll always stay with me. Again, that's going to be the second thing of yours that stays with me. But let's come back to cinema. What's that world been like for you, and what are you doing currently? I believe you're doing some great films.
I was always certain that my image would be the no image.
What do you mean?
That you couldn't pin me down. As soon as I did an art house film like English August, next film I was Takshak, I was the villain, I killed 9 people.
What about in Dil Dhadakne though? If you remember, I came to Bombay Gym and I met you and I told you, I hated you in that film, and you said, then I did it right.
Yeah, 20 years of working on gender justice, and suddenly I do this film, and just, people think I'm that person. So I did the rom-com with Pyar Ke Side Effects. I did the buddy film with Jhankaar Beats. I did the courtroom drama with Shaurya. These are all genre-specific movies, and never went back to them. Done.
By choice?
Yeah, done. Change the taste in your mouth. Bengali cinema, when no one was doing it. Mr. and Mrs. Iyer. English film. The Japanese Wife, which I think is one of my finest performances with Aparna Sen.
It really is.
Vishwarupam with Kamal Hassan sir, and I was nominated for Best Villain. It's a wonderful role. He's a wonderful director. So for me, it's been, forget about the image, what is my appetite? Bulbul, that's the one that got me my Filmfare Award. I can't even tell you how satisfying and difficult it was to play, especially the mentally affected brother. It was really tough. Berlin, I just finished, which released last year with Z, which is a wonderful spy thriller. Very happy with my work in that. And this year, I am doing something that, if you haven't seen me on stage, in the first 2 years of my career, you've missed it, which is physical Chaplin comedy.
Really?
Charlie Chaplin comedy.
Wow.
You know, that kind of thing.
My God, I can't imagine you doing comedy like that and at that level.
No dialogue.
Oh.
No dialogue. Pure physical comedy. It's a co-production between Guneet Monga's company Sikhya and Karan Johar's company Dharma. So this is going to be something totally new.
How interesting.
You know, so, and the other film I've just finished is a political film with Mr. Prakash Jha, who does these political films, Rajniti, Arakshan.
I've seen so many of them.
So his next film, this one is called Jan Adesh, and I have a very interesting role of a deeply corrupt, but strangely philosophical politician from the north of India.
You know, people have to see this conversation of ours to realize that they have picked the wrong guy to play all the negative roles. You know, I mean, you're just so opposite. In fact, gender equality, let's talk about that. I actually feel very privileged sitting with you because, you know, Rahul, you're not one of those guys who just talks about gender equality. You have lived it, you have practiced it, you have institutionalized it. I mean, look at Purna, you directed that film about a 13-year-old tribal woman who, you know, summits the peak. Amazing. What about Indian women's role in rugby that you're championing? I mean, they are performing so beautifully on the international stage as well.
मैं आपको एक किस्सा बताता हूँ.
बताइए.
हमारे घर में Mom used to work. She smoked, she drank, she worked, but never entered the kitchen. Baba used to work. He used to enter the kitchen every Sunday and cook up. He's a gourmet cook. Unbelievable.
Bengali food.
Prawn cutlets the size of my hand.
Wow.
I used to hear him beating the prawn early morning. Bekti fry. Shoshe, mustard fish, shoshe bata mach. He also had Lucknowi influences because he lived there. So mutton champ with kevda. He used to make, of course, chops, crumb fried chops. So my father used to make food as if it was, as if we were,
second nature,
you know, we were gourmets. All the decisions on career, we used to ask our mom. She came first in Lucknow University in her master's. She was the brain in the family. So career advice, mom. Clothes advice, dad. Because my dad dressed beautifully. Now it's exactly the opposite in life.
Yeah.
So when I used to go to my friends' houses and their father used to be sitting next to us reading the newspaper and the mother was in the kitchen, I would say, "Is your father unwell?" No, he's fine. I'm like, "But your mother's cooking, your father's not cooking." I said, "Yeah."
For you, that was not normal. And actually, what's wrong with it? Why is there such a stereotype?
Career advice, who goes to your mother?
What do you mean, my son comes to me?
You know, get my point. You get my point in those days. And clothes advice, who goes to your dad? So it was like that. It was like that.
So
And
you've lived it, actually.
And they never said it. They never said, "Oh, look how gender neutral we are. Oh, look at this." They never, it was like breathing. So from there, if you draw the continuous line to here, the greatest compliment I've got is you're a green forest. I can't think. It's not possible. It is not possible to think of disrespect, first of all, to anybody. But I just can't. So I'll tell you what, in rugby, the under 18 girls training for the Asians, all of them were walking onto the field for training, their chins slightly down, hunched shoulders, you know, walking, looking at me a little bit, maybe fearfully, respectfully, whatever it is, president is here, whatever, and training. After training, I said, "Oh, I would like all of you to just stand in a line." Half of them couldn't even stand straight.
Because of lack of confidence.
Erect, straight spine, relaxed shoulders, calm eyes. Lack of confidence. And it's not them, it's society. A woman is told to put a haversack in front of her chest and walk into the local train. Why? I understand, but why should it happen in the first place?
Why should it happen in the first place? Yeah.
Why would you hunch your shoulders? We know. What are you trying to, you know, constantly being vigilant about? We know. And I found these 18-year-old girls couldn't even stand straight like dancers. Just stand, own your space. So it's not only physical, it's also mental and psychological and social. In some families, I know you come third or last. The breadwinner comes first, the boys come next, then the girls, then the mother. This is how food goes down the chain.
Yeah.
I said, here, you come first. Here
Wow.
from me to the coach, to the strength and conditioning, to the guy who's the groundsman, we are here for you.
How
This
nice.
is your moment. All of us are in your service. We serve you. So if you want to be served, this is the time. This is the time to feel what it feels like to be number one. So that when you go back home, I want your parents to say कि रोहिणी की आंखें जो है ना उसमें बदलाव आ गया है चाहे रीढ़ की हड्डी में हो या नहीं आंखों में एक चेंज आ गया है ये क्या चेंज है That is what I want to see. We are here for you, all of us. The food, the gymnasium, the swimming pool, the ground, the training, the psychological, the mental health sessions, everything is for you. This is your time. Go.
Own it.
Own it. And you should see that sense of really, is it possible? Is it true? Can it be? I went and met the captain of the Asian Games team, a woman. She's a tribal from Odisha. Tribals from Odisha don't even know Odia. They speak their local language, like tribals anywhere. So for her to go to Bhubaneswar was a culture shock, a language shock. So you can imagine to then India, then captaining. I went to her village, 242 kilometers from the airport in Dhatika, Kyonjhar district in Dhatika village. One pakka house is being built, the money she's got from rugby. And her mother, never met her, tribal lady. The last kilometer I was walking. In India, when you get last kilometer, you have to walk. Got to her. We don't know each other. God knows how many social boundaries she broke. God knows how many people she must have scandalized. This tribal lady just clasped me to her chest, stroked my face, held my face, and we both held each other. I have photographs, I'll show you. We both held each other. I was like, this country moves because of its mothers. This country moves because of its mothers. You can
Why
live.
is this country lacking so much where women are still concerned? I mean, there's one side a guy like you who's doing so much. And I'm pretty sure there are many men like you. My husband is a great support to me. I mean, today where I am, especially after marriage, I can easily say,
Ji.
I can give a lot of credit to the confidence that my husband has and the way he pushes me.
I'll tell you where it is, Amrita. I'll tell you where it is. The time to tell your children how to treat women is gone. You have to show them. If
Practice what you preach and live it.
If the father walks 3 steps in front of the mother when they are catching the Howrah mail from the station, the boy, when he grows up, will walk
the
3
same
steps in
thing.
front of his.
True.
So you'll be amazed, and this is income agnostic, across the entire pyramid, what kind of misogynistic attitudes men have, from the richest to the poorest. And if you actually examine each person's actions, you will see the bias. For example, if I said to you, yesterday I met Colonel Parminder, 6 foot tall, strapping soldier.
I think it's a guy. It's in my head, but I knew that you're talking about a woman. Do you think it's also got to do with education, no?
No.
No? Not at all? It's
no,
only the
no,
example that you
you're
said.
right. It has to do with the right education.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are many people who are educated not to think this way.
Yeah.
You can't be educated. You have to be educated right. How many people do you know in history who are educated and evil?
Yeah. But meko batao, I'm now suddenly turning my whole calm persona into becoming a typical Indian auntie ji. You know? So bolte na, hai ki hoya putar? Shaadi kyun nahi kitti tu? बच्चे क्यों नहीं पैदा किते कि गल की होगी at bloody 18 you decided not to marry. I mean, a guy like you any woman would want. Like really handsome, princely, I mean, so accomplished, so intelligent, and the most important thing, has so much respect for women. I think that's what today's, you know, मेरे husband ने जब मुझे propose किया था ना at US club, मुझे उसने बोला था, I can't promise you diamonds, I can't promise you, and this is within 2 months of knowing him. I can't promise you exotic holidays. मैं दिल में सोची सारा कुछ तो चला गया. What the hell is he promising me now? खर्च मनु काय? And then he said the sweetest thing. He says, but I promise you a lifetime of happiness and joy, and I'd give that to you. I said, banda, theek hai. You know, I also knew he's a very well-educated guy. I also had fallen in love with his parents by then because that was my yardstick. In-laws अच्छे होने चाहिए, cultured होने चाहिए. a woman really wants that. पैसे वैसे fame वगैरह सब कुछ तो आ जाता है. You know, you can do it together.
It is not that I'm anti a partner, women, marriage. I just find the concept of committing to the fragile chance that you will both grow together in the same direction, a chance I don't want to take lest I cause unhappiness.
Why would you're such a positive guy. You just told me about all the lessons sports taught you.
Lest
you
I
have
call-
to take chances.
I
And you
can
have to be
take-
positive.
I can take the chance, but can somebody take the chance with me?
Give her a chance.
That's true. That's true.
You know, take that call.
That's true. That's true. And something that possibly I haven't done. Not for a moment have I regretted it, only because it taught me how to love myself, how to live with myself, how to take a selfie of me and me, how to go to a beautiful place in the world, memorialize it just with me.
Yeah.
There's nobody else there. And so what happens is that if you do it correct, you're alone, but you're never lonely.
Yeah. Well, you don't get married to just,
Fair.
combat loneliness. You
Fair.
get married because you never know. You might just find an amazing girl who makes your life even more wholesome. So,
I know.
So
I know.
I'm going to stop being the auntie now, and I'm going to let that thought be. And if one day you decide to get married, I will take some credit for it.
I think that ship has sailed, Amrita Raichand.
Really? Inna handsome bunda waste ho gaya. Hush.
It sailed the moment he went down on his knees at US Club.
Oh.
The sound you heard was of my heart breaking.
If I had seen you, then kya pata kya ho jata.
No. Your husband is about 50 times better looking than I am, and 50 times a better person.
Okay, changing tracks, and
Ji.
let's make this the last segment, because I really want to address upon all the NGOs that you're running. You know, a lot of people again talk about charity, but you are actually doing so much. My son also was involved with HEAL. He raised
Yes,
some money
of
for
course.
HEAL. Just tell us a little bit about these charities, because लोगों को लगता है कि अरे film stars सब charity में घुस जाते हैं, but actually कुछ करते नहीं हैं. But I know at a very personal level how hard you work and how responsible you feel for these NGOs. So tell us, enlighten us a little about it.
I started the foundation after the tsunami, which hit the Andamans. I was looking to see that there's such incredible differences in people's fortunes, even in Mumbai. You cross the road, deprivation. And in the country, there are some parts of the country that are more deprived than others because of geography, distance, because of history.
Yeah.
There's, some kind of a tanav hai, some terrorism, broken places, fractious, violent places, and some just because it has been, what should I say, a question of resources, natural or otherwise. So, how do you try and equalize developmental indices in different parts of the country? By having the right kind of development. How do you ascertain what is the right kind of development for your state versus my state, or your region versus my region? By having people who understand exactly what your region needs. Who are they? People from the region. So the right model of development in any part of the world should be decided by the people from that region themselves. Misal ke taur pe, the United Nations has spent billions of dollars pumping aid into Africa. Not much has happened. Why? Because you go to a farmer and say, तुम्हारा फसल क्या है? Sir, गेहूं. ना, गेहूं पे तो 10 रुपया क्विंटल मिलेगा आपको. अब ऐसे कीजिए, आप गन्ना, वहाँ पे आपके खेत में आप गन्ना लगाइए. गन्ना लेकिन यहाँ पे तो लगाइए ना, आपको 1000 रुपये मिलेंगे क्विंटल. So आप गन्ना का स्टॉक्स दे देते हो, फर्टिलाइजर दे देते हो, यूरिया, and the guy starts making गन्ना, he becomes very wealthy. देखा? चलो, and you move on. 5 years later you come back and the guy is back to growing गेहूं. क्या हो गया? Says, I made a lot of money selling sugarcane, but I was no more a part of this community because nobody wanted my cane. When I grew गेहूं, मेरी बिरादरी में औकात होती थी. अब वो नहीं है. पैसों का क्या फायदा? अब मैं पराया हो गया हूं, अलग हो गया हूं उन सब से. So development has to be organic from So therefore, what stops people from deciding what's best for their lands? Education and exposure.
Yeah.
So that is the reasoning which we would go to a region like the Andamans or Manipur and find 6 kids. 1.5 years finding 6 kids on that island or that region that we would then put through education for 20 years from the age of 10 to 30 in the hope that they will go back and the developmental models they've seen, the life they've been exposed to, the good, the bad, the ugly, they will decide what's best for their communities.
Wow.
It is that idealistic an NGO. You never heard of anything like this in your life.
And far-sighted.
Yeah.
It's not like aaj ka.
And a long shot. It's a long shot.
Yeah, it's also a long shot. But dur ki soch ki, you're doing something which will definitely have that long-term
lasting
result
effect.
and lasting
Even
effect.
if out of the 6 kids, 3 of them join the developmental sector or with government or any, then you can actually see 3 of the brightest, most exposed, most educated people in that region's history to come back and give back to that place.
Amazing. Can I clap? Okay, I really, like, this is that one of city marna clapping wala moment. Okay.
The other one is called HEAL,
Haan.
Help Eradicate Abuse Through Learning, that Agastya was part of.
Yes.
That we conduct child sexual abuse workshops in Hindi, English and Marathi across schools, colleges, neighborhoods, colonies, universities, anywhere in these languages. And we have different models depending on your age group. I think we have the best workshop models in the world.
Yeah.
And very, very sensitively, very gradually, very collaboratively, all of that.
And if you ever need my help in any way, any support, if I can come and cook for them,
Of course,
and educate them through food, I'd be honored.
It's the greatest pleasure.
Okay, the final section. I love my rapid fire round.
I
Okay?
hate it. Let's do it.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
let's start.
Yeah.
One word your closest friends would use to describe you.
Generous.
I will vouch for that too. One habit you yourself are secretly proud of.
Secretly proud, as opposed to proud of.
कुछ बातें होती हैं ना which are not revealed to others, but you do that.
Cleanliness and order.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't know that. One habit you know you should give up but haven't.
Losing my temper
You lose your temper?
quickly, but I forget in 2 minutes also after that. Impatience,
शुक्र है यहाँ नहीं lose किया. A film you wish you had acted in, honestly.
which I was offered and I said no to or something like that, or just
It could be any film, not even a film that wasn't even offered to you.
Satyajit Ray, any film. I mean, from Pothir Panchali, and I would have to be a boy, little boy for that, all the way up to Ghore Baire. I mean, anything that Ray would have made, I would have. He passed away 1 year before I started my career. What a privilege, what an experience it would have been. And people who worked with him used to tell me that you would have loved to work with him. You guys would have gotten along very well. That, and out of the present, I would say I would have loved to be in something like Jaane Bhi Do Yaro.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a film.
I would have loved to
Yeah.
be in a film like that. Yeah, I think also Mr. Bachchan's role in Shakti, I would have loved to play.
Okay. I hope you get those kind of films and we get to see that kind and that side of your personality as an actor. A role that changed you more than your career.
What an interesting question. That changed me more than my career.
Anything you felt or learned while you were doing a film.
Yeah, playing Dr. R.S. Praveen Kumar in Purna and discovering what kind of work was being done with tribal kids across that state was a great, great experience for me about 15 years ago.
Nice. Theatre or cinema? Gun to your head.
Cinema,
Oh, really?
no question. I stopped acting on stage 25 years ago, 2000. I find the medium limiting. For me, cinema has the invisible fourth, sometimes great cinema breaks into the fourth dimension and transports you to a place that is not explained by what you see and what you hear. Something else happens.
Yeah. Script or director? What excites you more?
Director.
Morning person or night owl?
I sleep every day at 2 and I wake up every day at 8. 7 or 8.
Okay.
So I'm both.
So technically you're both. I wake up at 5:30 a.m. One mental health myth you would like to bust?
Manifestation. It doesn't work. You can think positive, but oh, this happened because I manifested this. Kindly be rational. Kindly use your intelligence. You've been blessed with a brain. You can't make anything happen. You can only be ready when it happens.
So the book Secret should not be read anymore.
You cannot manifest anything.
Really?
You have no control over anything in your life. What you have to do is the cards that are dealt to you every day, you have to believe you can win. That attitude you have to have. But I manifested that I'm going to become a gardener, and look, today I'm a gardener, is utter crap. I mean, it's irrational to the point of idiocy.
If I had to give you a prize for an answer, this would have been it. What a wonderful answer. Taught me something. Overrated wellness trend right now, according to you? Intermittent fasting.
Water.
Water? I love my water.
I'll send you something. You don't need more than 7-8 glasses of water a day.
Huh.
But no, people are constantly sipping from this big bottle. It creates havoc with your digestion. Also, you're denuding the planet because you don't need the water. You need water when you feel thirsty. You feel thirsty every couple of hours. It's just ridiculous how people have made water a thing.
Okay. One book you would love to gift someone. I know you're an avid reader. Okay, not someone, me. What book would you gift me?
Bridges of Madison County.
Oh.
Have you read it?
Yes, of course.
Super
I watched
romantic.
the movie also, or was it a show? I would
give you Andre Agassi's Open.
I've read that. It's one of the best books I've read, and I'm still trying to get my Agassi to read it. What a movie.
And I would get you
what a book.
Brando's biography by Peter Manso.
Okay, that I
It's just called Brando. It's such a wonderful portrayal and capturing of those times and of this very complex, self-destructive and outwardly destructive but incredibly talented human being. It's a beautiful biography.
Okay.
I'd give that to you. It's very wonderful.
Okay, I'll wait for it.
And I would give you a box set of Chef's Table to watch.
That I've watched all,
Same
and in many number of times. You know what I was expecting from you? Your father's recipe book.
He didn't have one.
He didn't have
He didn't write a single recipe.
Oh, shite.
He didn't write a single recipe in his life. Didi also, even till today, she's like, he didn't, nothing. Mom used to write the 2-3 recipes in Moussaka and Kauswe, she used to write down. Baba never wrote a single recipe in his life.
See, that's a big lesson for everyone to learn. Write your parents' recipes down. Because at least they'll give you the memory of their khana, na?
Yeah.
The food takes you back in time. I have my mother's recipes written. Okay, your comfort food on a bad day.
My comfort food on a bad day would be khichdi, chapta arbi studded with zira, and dal and papad and dahi. But my last meal before dying would be shami kebabs, karara paratha, mukke wali pyaz.
Says the man who can only make deem.
Yeah.
Okay, dinner with one person living or not? Who?
Mahatma Gandhi, Satyajit Ray, and I would like third person would be Mr. Pataudi, who I knew when he was alive. A remarkable man.
Really?
Cool, yeah, very remarkable person.
Nice to know. Maybe Saif can substitute for the moment. Last one, complete this sentence. At this stage of my life, I value.
Kindness, more than anything else.
Nice. That's a very touching answer, and I think you are one of the kindest souls, because we've been talking about table talk, and you have been the most adjusting, most easily available, no hassle guy, and I think that's also a form of kindness when your friend calls you and you're ready to kind of just be there. So thank you. I have gotten as much from this as I have given. So please don't. Hisab is perfectly. हिसाब पूरा है हाँ. उसके बाद मैं आपको एक और खाना खिला दूँगी अपने घर में.
जी.
ठीक है? Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. You really made today's episode special, and I can't wait to see you again. And cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.